It's a life of a fisherman you wouldn't understand. Something you can't feel on dry land. Gotta get your arms way up in a cage and set the hook on smallmouth bass, and then you'll understand. Gotta get your hands on a Shimano reel and a G-Loomis trying to bet you like what you feel. Step on the deck, give it a whirl. Hello, welcome to my world.
I'm just kidding. Air dusting my computer off. Don't do whippets, guys. You would be an idiot if you did. Anyway, welcome to this episode of On Another Line Live. My name is Tyler, and this episode is going to be brought to you by the fine folks you see below us. And one of the things that you're going to notice way down here, there is a new, wow, I was, had that right there in my mouth. Obviously didn't pull the trigger, but don't do that. Holy crap. Yeah, anyway. Probably did that to stop people from doing what I was saying I was doing, which is whippets, which is not true, obviously. But anyway, brought to you this episode is brought to you by the folks down below, Solarbat, G-Loomis, Malone's Marine, Borders, Shimano, and far left of the screen is a brand new supporter that we just brought onto the show this year, and that is Hannah Sublett. Hannah Sublett is an insurance broker in our area here. She's actually in around Greenup, Kentucky. I'm pretty sure she's licensed in Ohio, West Virginia, and Kentucky. Don't quote me on that. You have to call her. Her number is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. She is a licensed life insurance broker as well as health insurance. So if you're looking at getting that stuff for yourself or your family, or you know somebody would, she is a great person to look at. Again, she is going to be one of those things that are one of those folks that have agreed to help us out during this year. She is supplied a pretty good amount of money for my trip for the spring break trip, which we're going to talk about in just a second. I finally have a plan. I know that's really weird to say, but I do have a plan. Everything is going good, and I am really happy that it's getting closer. So that is around the spring break area of my life, which is going to be right around March. I think we're leaving March 17th, 18th, somewhere in there, which is the Thursday before Good Friday, and we'll be back the following Sunday. So we'll talk about that in just a second. The plan that is the trip 2025. Excuse me. Hope you guys out there are enjoying this. What felt like a spring day today here in Ohio. It was like 50 degrees, and it felt like that I should have been out in shorts, just for the simple fact that we've had, sub-zero degree temperatures for what seems like the last 3 weeks. And it was, today was very, very nice. Gearing up to make one of the coolest videos on YouTube that I think I've ever produced, if it works. I had a lot of comments over the last few years wondering if I ever go crappie fishing. And if so, could I show a video of how I do it? I am a little bit leery of doing that because I crappie fish with forward-facing sonar, and we all know how people feel about watching forward-facing sonar videos. But with that being said, the video series that I'm going to be producing here over the next couple of days, matter of fact, I was working on a half of before this show started, is I am working on creating my own crappie bait, and not just the way that you think about it. You're probably thinking, hey, he probably bought a Do It mold, or he is buying like Big Daddy Baits or Angling AI or one of these places that produce these bait molds. While all of those options are definitely viable options, and I definitely would tell you guys to go out and look at Do It before anything else. They've been at the game a lot longer than anybody else. But anywho, I 3D modeled a bait in Fusion 360, which is a computer-aided design and computer-aided manufacturing environment that is free to educators, free to everybody really, but I have a pro license where I'm an educator, and I teach students how to build guitars using Fusion 360. So over the past 2 or 3 years, I have kind of done some projects where I've created a 3D printed crankbait and a few other things, and they don't work out like you think they would. One, the filament that we use in those printers are porous, which means that no matter how solid you make the model, it's still let water in. But my goal here over the next couple of days is to 3D print a mold out of chopped carbon fiber and nylon material that will allow me to injection mold some new crappie baits that I have dubbed the Crappie Rocket. And it looks really cool. I'll just bring it up here and show you guys what it looks like. I was thinking to myself last night, what makes crappie baits different than anything else? Well, first off, they're a lot smaller, obviously, and they are nothing more than basically a sonar minnow. They're like the OG sonar minnows. So I started, thinking about it, and I was kind of taken off of the idea of like the Berkeley drip minnow, which, by the way, if you haven't seen those things are phenomenal. Mine is obviously not going to have the paint job that the drip minnow has. They have some kind of crazy deal there where they can they can put some kind of super realistic look on that thing, and that's not going to be us. We're not. Mine's going to be probably all one solid color, and I'm just interested to see if it actually works. And if I can find the actual file here, I would show you guys what it looks like. There it is. Let me share my screen so you guys can see it. There it is, the old Crappie Rocket. Really long cylindrical tail. Have that little ball back there for I'm hoping that picks up some water and allows that tail to have a little jigglage back there. But these fins are really intriguing to me, just for the simple fact that if this thing works like I think it will, it should cause this bait to have some extreme roll left and right. It should go, have a really cool wobble or roll to it, which is key, in my opinion, to having a really lifelike bait when it comes to any kind of bait. But my deal is if I can design this in a way, which it's already designed, right? You're seeing the end all goal here. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to create a mold around this thing to have like 6 or 8 of these things at a time, maybe even a dozen of them at a time, so I can injection mold them with a standard Plastisol injection setup. I have plenty of Plastisol medium from Do It, and I have some other injector and everything that you need to create this thing. But I am going to hop in here and try to make this in a way that allows me to mass produce this. But I'm going to 3D print the mold. I'm going to inject it, and then I'm going to test it in just a small tank to see what it looks like. And then JR and I are going out this weekend, going to do some crappie fishing, and we're going to work on catching some crappie, hopefully. But I don't know that I've ever seen a video series where somebody actually designed the bait, made the mold, poured the bait, tested the bait, went out and caught a fish on it. Now, don't get me wrong, Marling Baits, Nate Marling, I think his name's Nate. He does this stuff pretty much every day, but I've never seen it in the group of stuff that I'm working on. What's up, JR? Cold over there?
No, yeah, it is cold in my house, man. I've been trying to save on a daggone energy bill, keeping the house at like 64 degrees, but it feels colder. Don't know why.
Mark Shannon in the house, Strix Marine. Again, if you guys are just now joining us, what you see there scrolling on the bottom, Hannah Sublett, new sponsor to the show. She is helping me out with the trip coming up soon. I am going to let me find the file here. I got a hair in my mouth, which was gross. Crazy thing happened to me the other day. I was fishing the G Loomis Owners Tournament a couple months ago. Me and Jared fished it. You guys saw that video. Pretty cool deal. Should have won the thing. Fish ended up being very elusive the day, the next day. And then what I did was I normally always will put in money on a raffle, especially if it's something that I would like to have. And the past time we were down there, they always raffle off some sort of Loomis or Shimano gear, and they did that, and it was a G Loomis NRX Plus, and I actually won the thing. So I got a G Loomis 893C NRX Plus on the way. I just ordered a new Chronarch MGL in the 8 gear ratio that I'm going to pop on top of that thing. So I'm really excited to get that in. I'm looking for
duck, man. I've never won one of those stinking things. I mean, given I don't put into a lot of them, but man, I've never won those things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't put in like a whole bunch, but like for something like that, I mean, I won a $650 rod for $20. So, but do I win them all the time? Absolutely not. Like that, I do believe that's probably the first thing that I've ever won. Which if you consider how much money I've put into them over the years, probably more than that.
But you couldn't have paid for that NRX though.
Oh, I bet you I could buy 5 of those things over my years of putting in for raffles.
Really?
Matter of fact, I bet you
this has been a long time coming.
Yeah, I bet you I've spent $300 this year on raffles for things that go boom on Facebook. People that I know. What's one guy makes a freaking living at it? I think he has a raffle every week. But anyway. Yeah, Fred, I think that's a great idea, and I am bringing it in for my students as well, barring that it works. If it works, then I'll do it. If not, we'll teach you. It'll be a teaching point either way. Let's look at the trip really quick before we go any farther. And again, those of you guys, I'm sure you guys are aware, but this April, I am going on a trip of a lifetime for myself. Those of you guys that are aware, I'm sure of it, I have a goal in my life. Hopefully I live long enough to make this happen. I want to catch a black bass species, a member of the black bass species in all 50 states in the United States. I've checked off a lot of the East Coast. This April, I'm going to leave, as you can see here, the itinerary for the trip. We're leaving at 3:30 p.m. on the Thursday before Good Friday in April, and we're driving to Bull Shoals Lake, which is about a 12-hour drive here with stops and restroom breaks for fuel and all that stuff. We are staying at a campground that is known as the Highway 125 Park at Bull Shoals, which is approximately again 12 hours from here. We're going to reach the destination at approximately 2:30 a.m. Central Time, which will be 3:30 Eastern here. So we'll be, gaining an hour back that way. So it won't be so late when we get there. We're going to set up camp, sleep a while, and then we're going to fish Bull Shoals on Friday. With any luck, that is going to allow me to catch a fish in Arkansas and Missouri, which Bull Shoals straddles those two lakes. We're going to fish all day on Bull Shoals, go back to that campground, and we're going to stay there for the second night, really the night and a half there. And then we're going to wake up early in the morning at 4 a.m. and we're going to depart Bull Shoals Lake and go west. Go west, young man. Haven't you been told? We're going to go to Oklahoma and fish Lake Ten Killer Ferry, which is everybody knows is Lake Ten Killer. That would be, it's supposed to be a fairly good lake. That's they have a lot of Bassmaster and MLF events there. Jason Christie's home water is Lake Ten Killer. Catches some big fish there. So our goal is just to catch a fish in each one of these states. We're only fishing one day at each one of these lakes. And if it gets down to the wire, I will pick up a wacky rig Cinco and I will catch a fish. It's just, there's no doubt you can go around a brush pile or something with a wacky rig Cinco and catch. And that's another thing. I'm not a purist. I'm not talking about a keeper. It doesn't even have to be a keeper. It has to be a largemouth, spotted bass, or a smallmouth in every lake that we stop at. So at Ten Killer, hopefully we'll be able to catch a fish there during that day, which is going to be on Saturday. So we'll get there approximately 8 a.m. Central Time, fish Ten Killer on Saturday, sleep at Snake Creek Campground Saturday night, get up when we get up, because at this point, this is going to be 3 nights sleeping in a tent in the back of my truck in probably 50-degree weather. So it's going to be kind of chilly and sleeping, showering in shower houses and things. So we're just going to get up when we get up and drive southwest a little farther, which is about 4 hours southwest to Lake Fork. Hopefully approximately, get there somewhere around 2 p.m. at Lake Fork. We are going to grab an Airbnb there. I have reservations for the campgrounds, but I still haven't settled on an Airbnb yet. I'm trying to find one that has lake access so we can just keep my boat in the water. It will be a lot nicer if we can do that. But we are going to fish Lake Fork for, all the way through Thursday morning from then. So it'll be Sunday, Monday, or actually be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then 3 days there. And then we're going to drive 4 hours back east, so northeast back to Louisiana, and we're going to fish Caney Creek Lake in Louisiana, which is going to fish. We're going to fish Thursday evening through Saturday night, and then wake up Sunday morning and leave. So we're going to camp somewhere close there. I don't have reservations there for that because there's not many campgrounds around the area. Still diving into that. Sunday morning, we're going to drive back home to Ohio, and as the last thing there says, go back to work on Monday, sunburnt, deprived of sleep, and needing a vacation. So this is the goal for the trip. This trip is going to allow me hopefully to catch a fish in Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, and Louisiana. So I'm pretty excited about that. I don't want to wish my life away, but I cannot wait for April.
Yeah, I recently found out as well. I'm going to go back to Sam Rayburn beginning of March too. So I am also excited for that. So me and my buddy Chris are going to go down there and give it a whirl again. And I think his dad's actually going down there too. So we'll have 2 boats down there and be able to dissect Big Sam a little bit. But they just caught 3 9-pounders in a MLF tournament there. So I'm excited about that. And
speaking of that MLF tournament that was down there last weekend, shout out to Brody Campbell, dude. Dude is from locally here. He's like from the Portsmouth area, a little bit down that way. The dude can absolutely crush him. I think the dude could catch a fish with a cane pole in a mud hole. He has won 2 Toyota Series events now, one at Chickamauga, this one now at Sam Rayburn. He has like 45 top 10s. I mean, craziness. The dude can catch him. Met him several times. He is a great guy, can absolutely wreck him. So, congratulations, Brody Campbell, out there on that Toyota Series victory. Won something like 65 grand from the tournament and had like another 30. Money. He had another like 35,000 Phoenix money, so he won like $95,000 in the tournament. That's a pretty good stack of cash there for a week-long fishing trip. But that's all he does, man. That's what he's a pro angler. He travels around and fishes for a living. That's what he does, and he's good at it.
Mm-hmm. Shaking a minnow. That's what it was, they said, at least. But
one of the videos I saw, he caught a fish on a big old giant jig with like some kind of like, looked like some kind of straight pumpkin trailer on it. I mean, it was like yellow almost. But yeah, he was catching them.
God, that lake is so massive, man. It's intimidating big.
Saw a video yesterday of somebody trying to cut off Ryan Salzman. It was interesting to say the least. Some
Man,
dude
he puts
in
out so many videos.
Bassmaster Open. Yeah, I don't know. It was crazy, but we had him on the show not too long ago. What's up, Dino? How you doing, buddy? Again, I can't wait to get back out on the lake. I'm interested to get back into the Chasing a Coldwater Giant series. That may happen on Saturday. If I don't go down and meet Drew Sadler with this rod in Lexington on Saturday, I will probably go out to Greenbow, and I'm hoping that the water has a little bit of stain to it, but I'm not. Well, it should, but I just don't know if it's going to, because one, the ice melted this week, and I won't be able to get there until Saturday, at least at the earliest. So that
I think
place
it's supposed to rain Thursday and Friday, though.
Well, if that happens, I might have a chance, but
yeah,
I'm gonna go back out there. I don't have it here with me; it's actually on my table in there in my bar. But Rick Perry, local fella, he's actually out there on Instagram and Facebook, painted up a really cool glide bait for me to try at Greenbow. It's a rainbow trout pattern. I'll be posting more about it this week. But it's I want to give him a shout out because he contacted me a couple weeks ago. He's like, "Hey man, have you tried any glide baits out there?" And I told him no, that I don't own any. Well, that I'm still working on my glide bait, and I'm still working on that. I do have some progress to talk about on that in just a second. But he offered to paint up a glide bait and give it to me for the task. He just kind of wanted to donate to my chance of catching a coldwater giant, and he gave me this really cool glide bait, which again I'll be posting pictures of and stuff soon. Done a phenomenal job painting this thing, way better than I could do. It looks just like a trout. I can't wait to go out and throw it, but I want to go out there and make episode 4 of Chasing a Coldwater Giant. And those of you guys watching that video series, I appreciate it. I'm getting a lot more feedback on that video series than I ever have any video series in the past. And I guess with great, having people follow you and having people actually watch your videos, which is it's definitely different for me. You're obviously going to have some haters, and here in just a minute, I'm going to read some of my favorite comments from haters on my YouTube channel to you guys here in a little bit. But Rick,
girlfriend,
Rick hit me up. Rick Perry, he's out there on Facebook. He works at Marathon, but he also paints baits on the side, and he's going to legit with it, meaning he's going to start his own business. So if you'd like to buy some baits off from him or want to get baits of your own painted from him, he's the guy. But yeah, like I said, I have a video right now. Before I got off of here, I looked and checked out the analytics because it blows my freaking mind. Like, first off, I've got over the last 28 days, I've got 250 new subscribers, which is absolutely unheard of for me. That's next level stuff. I'm usually like 20 or 30 subs, so we're up almost 1,000% there, which is crazy. So thank you guys. If you guys are just not joining us or from that, that is there. I want to thank you guys for that. But anyway, I have a video called One of the Craziest Catches of 2024. You guys have all seen the video. It's me catching a giant rainbow trout on a 1/2 ounce Picasso jig, right? So it was crazy for me. I was fishing for Coldwater Giants. It's part of that Coldwater Giants series at Greenbow. And I have since then had a short go viral for me. It's been on the YouTube Shorts area for 9 days now, and it has 84,000 views on it, which is next level for me, which is crazy. But the people and the comments on that section, on the comment section on that video, man, absolutely floor me. Like it's so funny to me that these people, first off, think that I really care what they have to say, and I don't. I mean, it's plain and simple from my responses, because the thing about it is, guys, I'm one of the nicest guys. I'm self-proclaimed here. I think I'm one of the nicest guys you ever meet. Like I avoid confrontation at all costs, but I'm not afraid of it either. But some of my content, the comments are crazy. Like one guy, here's just one of them. A guy says, "Gloves, be a man. I bet you sweat when you pee." And my response was to them was like, "I'll continue to be warm. You, on the other hand, will continue to be an idiot." That was a good one. Got him. Let's see. What else do I got? Guy claims that trout that I caught was a steelhead and not a trout. First for me. You set the hook any harder and you'll rip that poor guy in half. Looks like you have some aggression out on the water, with an open mouth emoji. My response was, I let out my aggression on fish due to all the pent-up anger from stupid comments on YouTube.
Yeah.
One guy said, put an asterisk beside it because you caught it with forward-facing sonar. And I put asterisk, still caught it. He said, not without forward-facing sonar. Now what? I said, I guess I'll catch him and you won't.
It was on a jig. You know, it wasn't even like a minnow. It was like it does. There is no more like iconic, classic bass fishing lure than a jig. You know, but anywho,
yeah. Like I said, there's just some of these are crazy. One guy says, cheater box, get a girlfriend, which was a good one. Another guy comments on here and says, cheater box for the win, but he spelled cheater CHEETER. So I
maybe
was
he
kind
meant
of
Cheetos. Like that'd be
no.
good.
So I thought he meant cheetah, like CHEETAH. So
So fast.
I just, I wanted to make sure he knew what he was talking about. So I said a cheetah is the world's fastest land animal, and it can reach speeds up as 70 miles per hour. A cheater, spelled CHEATER, is somebody that does something unethical to gain an advantage. And a cheater, CHEETER, is neither of those. And I didn't get a response back for him, so for some reason.
Darn.
Yeah. Let's see. You trying to rip the fish's head off with your hook set? Holy shit, chill out. That's a good one. Another guy says, you're using rope for line. One guy says, setting the hook like a complete jackass. And my response to that was commenting like a complete jackass. He says, don't cry. And my response was, remember the time I asked you for your opinion? Me neither. And he never responded.
Yeah, keep them coming. It's just more people watching, man.
Yeah, I'm just having fun with it, man. I think what they don't understand is that the more they comment, it just boosts my stuff up higher, which is whatever.
Dude, this new Tranks is like nice. I wish I didn't already have two of them, or I would get a new one.
Yeah,
that just looks so sweet because they look like a bantam.
Yeah, so CJ, I do, man. I don't care. I like, it takes all types. Like haters are whatever. I mean, like it's just funny. I get a kick out of it. Like I definitely don't want to lose any sleep out of it. My channel is this big, man. I'm almost to 6,000 subscribers, which is absolutely absurd for me, but it's crazy that it's out there, and I'm actually finally getting some videos to go what I call viral, which 100,000 views, which is crazy. That I couldn't imagine being somebody that had 10 million viewers a month, because you, first off, I guess you would probably never see them because you would never keep up with your comment section. Strick, if that's the case, I think was it you that you? I think you were telling me that you're right down there. Yeah, Corey, man, like one of the things that I have got a kick out of is that people absolutely hate the way I set the hook on this fish. And to be honest with you, I'll just show you guys the whole video here. I don't feel like I gave it what I ever, like I give most other fish. JR will tell you, he's fished right beside me. And dude, when I set the hook, those jokers go from being 12-inch bass to 15-inch bass in a hurry. Like, I don't give a crap to crack the whip on a fish. And
or rock or stick.
I don't care, bud. Hook sets are free.
Mhm.
And if they weren't, I would be broke a long time ago. But let me just share this video here with you so you guys can see it. And again, I set the hook on a stick. Actually, it's not a stick. One guy said I set a hook on a stick. I think what they're misinterpreting here, and they can't see it on the chesty, is like I got a 12-inch Garmin live scope system with an LVS 34. So I can see that this fish is here. And I can see that it's 30 foot from my boat, right? So one guy was bashing me saying that, man, you got your drag set, or you got your spool tension set way too tight. Is this your first time using a bait caster, giving it all that oomph and only getting it that far? I was like, dude, you have zero clue what you're talking about. Second off, my rods are probably the loosest of any you're going to grab a hold of. If you grab my line, you grab my rods off my deck and you make a cast, I guarantee you're going to backlash it immediately, because I have my stuff set so loose it's crazy. But anyway, long story short, I see this fish on this tree and I cast a jig at it because I think it's a bass. I'm bass fishing in a series called Cold Water Giants. And I go there, I pitch this jig out there and it goes down and this fish follows it and hits it. And I set the hook thinking that he has it. Well, he missed it. I watched it on the live scope, follow my jig all the way to the bottom of the lake, which is about 25 foot where I'm at. I reel my jig in and I wait, and it didn't take the fish very long. You can watch in the video. He goes back up in the treetop. You can't see it on live scope, but you can see how long it takes me to cast. So that fish is back up in the treetop again. I cast this jig at this fish, who I think is a bass, right? And it comes up immediately, smokes this half-ounce Picasso football head jig with a rage tail on the back of it. I set the hook in a mediocre manner from what I do, because I usually absolutely throw down on a fish, and I feel like this is kind of a light hook set, and I've got absolutely smoked over this hook set. So let's take a look at this video.
Jack just turned 9. Everybody say happy birthday.
What's up, Jack? Hey, man, one more year you have to start paying taxes.
Yeah, you got it.
What the heck is a tax?
It's where you go. Here's what a tax is. You find stuff out of your dad's fishing boat and you give it to me.
Ah, yeah.
See?
What?
You're taxed on what you buy, what you earn, and what you own.
I still don't get it.
Me either, and I'm 40.
You got time, buddy.
Let's see here. I got sidetracked there. All right, so here we go. Here is the clip. So let's go ahead and play it here. Obviously, it's a short, so there's a tree there. Pulling it up right past the fish, looking at it on live scope. Set the hook, miss the fish, right? So this is where the fish is chasing it all the way to the bottom. I reel the half-ounce jig back up. I make this cast at this fish, which I see on live scope again, and literally you can see that he catches it, and I set the hook.
Decent fish here, boys. I think it's a catfish.
But I didn't
It's gotta be the way it's rolling.
like. They're lucky that they didn't see one of my actual hook sets when it was
That thing?
when it's
Dude, that is the biggest freaking rainbow trout I've ever seen in my life. Ate a freaking jig. Look at that thing.
I've never seen a more like classic rainbow trout. Like, why would somebody be like, it's a steelhead?
One guy said it was a brown trout. And then
Look
I had to
at
go
it,
back and
dude.
look at it because I was like, I'm not a trout fisherman, but I think I can tell the difference between a rainbow and a brown. It was weird, man. It was cool. Oh man, but yeah, like it's crazy. Again, 90,000 views on that video. I've come to realize if you guys are out there doing YouTube, I've come to realize that Gene Jensen, Fluke Master, and I were talking about it when he was on the show. Most platforms like you posting every day, like Facebook eats it up. Like I've been posting to our Facebook group, our Facebook page every day, at least once a day for the last 2 months. And this past month, we have succeeded, or we've actually got past 500,000 views on our page in a month, which is absolutely unheard of. But posting stuff like that every day for Facebook is great for the algorithm, apparently. YouTube, it's not that way. If you push long content video out every day, that's fine. But if you try to post a short every day, dude, it just tanks your views like crazy. It seems like the happy medium is long views. If long content, you can post as much as you want, but shorts, they like it. The algorithm likes it about one every 2 to 3 days. And obviously people viewing it helps boost the algorithm too. Yeah, man. Like, I mean, first off, who gives a crap what you think? Like, I'm not going to change my hook set. Matter of fact, when I go fishing this weekend, I'm going to try to set the hook even harder because that's what I am. I am so petty and spiteful for people like that. Next time they see it, like, oh my God, I've created a monster. The dude used to set the hook hard. Now he's not caught a fish in 10 years because he breaks his line on every hook set.
Set it from the toes.
You know, I don't like, and that's one thing I will say, using really high quality fishing rods and equipment and using really high quality line. Power Pro, if I'm using braid, I will kind of take a back seat to setting the hook on braid, just for the simple fact is everything in my boat right now is like NRX or Poison Adrena. I think the cheapest rod I own right now is an X-Pride. So setting the hook on braid, different story because I really don't want to break the rod. But Power Pro braid and Sunline, I use almost strictly FC Sniper on all my rods. What I fish 8-pound leaders on my spinning rods. I have 12-pound on about 80% of my rods, and then 16-pound on my Carolina rig rods, flipping and pitching rods. Everything else is 12-pound, and I get by just with that stuff. And it's really great because I can buy like 600-yard spools of the Sunline, and I buy 1,500-yard spools of the Power Pro, 15-pound Super Slick V2. I just this year stepped down to 10-pound Power Pro Super Slick V2 in the Moonshine color. So I'm interested to see what that does, other than obviously a lot thinner line. I'm going to be holding a lot more line on the spools, which in my opinion, I don't think it matters. I'm not fishing, 800 foot deep.
I had a guy tell me, I've always put 15 on mine, and they told me, oh man, if you put the 10 on there rather than the 15, you'll get so much more distance out of your cast. But like if you look at the diameter of 15 versus 10-pound, it is like extremely minimal.
Yeah, I haven't dove in that much.
It's people tell me that all the time though, but everybody has.
Dude, I'm a slackliner too. Like I could tell you that line makes a huge difference just for the simple fact that I bought some line. I think I've told this story on the show before. I was fishing a copolymer that Stren had for a while called Floricast. and it was a copolymer. It was a monofilament that was coated in a fluorocarbon coating. And I really liked the line. It was fairly decently cheap. It was like $10 a roll. It was really good line. Didn't have a ton of memory. Didn't have a lot of stuff like that. And so I used a lot of it, and I really liked it. I ended up having like $500 or $600 worth of credit card points at one point. 1 year. This has been 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago. So I found out that through my bank PNC, you could buy fishing gear through this one company. I can't remember the company. It was on some no-name person. So I bought a bunch of this Stren Fluorocast line. Respooled all my rods, went out fishing the very next week, fishing a tournament, broke my line like 10 times in one day. And I was absolutely frustrated and flabbergasted trying to figure out why, because I'd never had this problem with this line before. And I contacted the company, Stren, and they were like, send us a picture of the label on the spool, and we'll be able to tell you when it was made, and we'll take a look at the batch data and stuff. I was like, yeah, no problem. So I didn't message them like wanting a handout. I was wanting an explanation of why this line was different than the line that I purchased previously, thinking that I might have just got a bad batch. Well, the deal was that they sent me an email back saying that the picture that I'd sent them, the line was like 9 years old at that point. So I was fishing line that was 10 years old that had just been like stacking up at the bottom of some mom and pop's bait store that couldn't be sold, and it was absolutely brittle. And you could cast, and you could set the hook on a bluegill and it would break. It was like dental floss. It was so thin. But I then switched to Sunline, and I never have looked back. It's expensive. You're looking at $30 every time you spool up a reel, or at least 25, which is a lot of money. But I can get at least 2 years of use out of them, sometimes 3, depending on how much I push it. And again, one of the things that degrades line, in my opinion, more than anything, is leaving rods on the deck that you're not using and getting sunbaked or getting really hot in a garage or whatever. So I keep my garage is fairly cool in the summertime. But I also, if I spend some time throughout the day, if I'm not using a rod, I'll put it up so it's not getting baked in the sun.
I was thinking going down to 10 on all of my cranking stuff this year. I don't know. I just feel like it may help with a little bit of depth, and it may help, making it so obviously less obvious for fish. But I've always used 12. I've always been a 15-12 guy for whatever reason, and a jerkbait I'll do 10. And I'm kind of just thinking, well, maybe I can go down to a 10 and see if I even have any issues with breaking off, because I've heard so much about Gamma line, and Gamma line is probably the most expensive line I've ever seen, to be honest. But there's so many pros that I really respect that say it's Gamma or nothing, and I definitely want to try it. And I've recently bought some of it, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, Philip says, talking about the Shimano, reels, and he's not wrong. Obviously, I'm biased, obviously, because the Shimano and G Loomis are affiliates of the show. But I fish Shimano because I like Shimano, and I was lucky enough to land a quote unquote promotional staff spot with them through the Tackle Box and Greg Drown, which is transferred over to the Borders in Ashland. But I was a long-time Shimano fan before I became, an affiliated person with Shimano and G Loomis. But one of the things that I will tell you is he's not wrong, man. Like there's a lot of Shimano reels that most people feel like they're overpriced. Like, for example, if you look at like the Shimano Metanium or the Antares is like $600, right? I will be the person to tell you that I do not own an Antares. One, I just feel like that the rods and reels that I own right now, which the highest reel that I own right now in the casting side is a Metanium, which is still a freaking $500 reel. I don't know how it gets much better than that. And if you look at something like the Stella, which is the Grand Poobah, it's the upper echelon of spinning reels for Shimano. You know, it's $799. I just don't see the technology is there. I know why it's so expensive, but it doesn't fit my budget and it doesn't fit my fishing style to have a load of those in my boat. One, because I don't take care. I take care of my stuff pretty well, but like I don't clean them and stuff as well as I should. But if I was a guide on the ocean and I took people out and it cost $10,000 a day to take my charter out, I would have a load of those reels because you're not going to be able to tear them up. They're based, you know, for salt water and all, and pretty much any water, but they're completely sealed. There's a lot of good stuff that goes in there, but some of the craziest reels out there are the lower end stuff from Shimano. Like he's talking about the SLX DC, I believe. SLX DC.
Great reel.
I think they're what, 179?
I mean the DC, yes. Because the base price without the DC is 130, and then if you
looks like they're 199, but you can get them on sale for 159, 179, somewhere in there. Anyway, so these reels are not to be overlooked. The cool thing about Shimano is they're a trickle down company. What that means is that they're higher end stuff. As technology becomes cheaper, they make cooler, more readily accessible technology available for lower end products. For example, the Stella has had cross carbon drag for a long time. They've also had, they've also had the where they I think it's called X Ship, where they have the what do they call it? The pinion gear that basically wraps around the spool shaft. It is supported on both sides of that gear instead of just one, so that changes. It doesn't allow the spool to torque. So that was in really high end casting reels, and now it's trickled down into the SLX and all that stuff has all this technology.
Hagane frame.
Yeah, Hagane. There's like so much that goes into that stuff that because it's cheaper in the Shimano. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some cheap Shimano stuff that you get what you pay for, like the Shimano FX spinning rod is like $29 MSRP, right? So this thing is like one of the old school. It's got the big knob on the bottom of the reel. It's got the two handles for, that's something different. But if you get somewhere up in like the Ultegra or higher, you get up into the Vanford, or something like a Twin Power or a Sustain, something like that. These reels are going to last you a lifetime.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a good point, Philip. You're paying for, the smoothness, how far you're casting. You're paying for, the drag system and the weight. And, that's like an NRX Plus. Yeah, an NRX Plus is really expensive and it's really sensitive. You could probably find another rod that's just as sensitive or close, but it's not as light and you can't fish it all day the way you can fish that.
Yeah, and I agree with. So I own right now, if I think about all the reels I own, which it would take forever, I own everything from regular Corrado Ks, which are the black Corrados, or like some of them are dark green. The 150s are dark green, but I have 200 Ks. I have 150s. I have a Corrado I series, which is like 15 years old. Absolutely still love it. I throw top water on it. I have some Metaniums. I have Bantams. I have a Tranks. I have Corrado or Chronarch MGLs. I have a Chronarch CI4, which is no longer made. It was one of the lightest reels that Shimano ever made, was that Chronarch CI4. There's just so many that I have. And as he alluded to, they're all great reels. They're all going to cast just as far. The ability to feel the cast or reel it in smoother is all you're getting for those higher end price points. So if you can live without that, which most people can, don't overlook those 150 to 250, dollar reels. Somebody sent me a picture of a Garcia that's out. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like $400. And it is, and here's the thing. Just because I fish with really high end stuff doesn't mean that I would be able to if I wasn't affiliated with Shimano and G Loomis. Like, if I didn't get a really deep discount on these rods, I couldn't afford it. No way. Because right now I own something like 7 NRX Pluses. I have 7 or 8 Shimano Poison Adrena A's. I have 1 X Pride. There's just so many that I have that are really expensive, and I would never in my entire life as a high school teacher be able to afford this stuff. So my biggest thing that I tell everybody when they ask me how I afford this stuff is the fact that I'm affiliated with it. But I'm not a purist, guys. I want you out there on the water. I don't care if you're out there with a Snoopy pole. Like, I will tell you, I think Shimano and G Loomis makes the best products on the planet. But just because you fish something differently doesn't make you any less of a person in my eyes. I want you to go out there and catch them.
That would be the Abu Garcia Xenon.
That is it.
X or MG LTX.
He was telling me that it felt almost fake. It was so light.
I bet. Let me see.
That was Bill Akers, by the way. Sorry, Bill was messaging me the other day and was talking about it. I want to know if I'd held one. I was like, I have not. And he's like, it almost feels fake. He says, really nice.
4.5 ounces. That is very, very light. Holy cow.
Let's see. Fred, I wonder if hot water's hidden surface contamination affects the life expectancy of its long. I would say yes, especially if you're fishing somewhere like the Ohio River or somewhere that has a lot of chemicals in it. I would say yes, it would. It would have to. Philip says, big difference between a GLX and NRX Plus. So I will tell you, the new GLX is awesome. Previous models of the GLX, I could tell a huge difference in the GLX and NRX Plus, or even the GLX and the old NRX. I could tell a huge difference. The new version of the GLX, I think, is a lot closer to an NRX Plus. I will tell you, and I'm kind of leery to tell you this because I don't want you to be swayed from NRX. Shimano Poison Adrenas are my favorite rods on the planet. That is hands down, no questions asked. If Shimano said you get to pick one rod to fish the rest of your life, it would be a Poison Adrena. I would be able to get rid of my NRX Plus forever. I feel like they're just that good of a rod. The only reason I don't own 100 of them is strictly for the fact of the warranty for Shimano. Shimano owns G Loomis, so you would think that the warranty would, kind of follow suit, but it does not. Shimano has a 2-week, no questions asked. You can bring it back to the store warranty. If you have it a year, it is a no question. It's a it's a 1-year replacement for manufacturer defects on Shimano. After that, you're paying for the whole rod, or you can use what they call it the express service, where you can get a new Shimano rod by sending your rod back and paying half of the retail price of your rod. So it's not that bad, but it's still kind of bad. Whereas if you're paying $650 for an NRX Plus, you set the hook on a fish, it breaks, and you think it's because of manufacturer defect. If it's 25 years down the road and you send that thing back and they determine those manufacturer defect, they're going to send you a brand new rod in its place. Now, if they don't have an NRX Plus, like, for example, if you have an NRX Plus 20 years from now, they're probably going to upgrade that thing. And if they don't have it, they will send you whatever in their lineup is equivalent to that rod. So, for example, if you had an NRX 5 years ago and it broke, they would send you an NRX Plus. So that is the reason that my boat is not full of Poison Adrena products, and it is sort of, but it's not completely full of it because But the reason I will tell you this, I hear a lot of people talking about breaking rods, and I say this every time. I might go out and break every rod I have, but you guys saw that hook set I just showed you a minute ago. I don't take it easy on my stuff. I think it goes to say, one, watch out for the rods that's on your deck and don't step on them. That's I think one of the most leading causes of breaking rods is stepping on rods that you don't notice that you're stepping on, crushing the tube or the rod. You set the hook, it breaks. Another thing is what's known as high sticking. If you're boat flipping something and you grab a hold of the rod and you let the rod bend really hard angle with that fish just dangling in air, that's probably the most leading cause of rod breakage. So if you can stay away from those things, I think you can fish Shimano for the rest of your life and be okay with not having to replace them. But there are those, sometimes stuff happens.
I remember the first time I went fishing with you, we went to Grayson, and right where we started, I had a St. Croix rod and a St. Croix Premier, which I still love that rod. It's a great rod. Speaking of a good rod for $160, $180, and I just got the rod, fishing a jig, set the hook, thing broke in half. I mean, it was obviously a defect during all the COVID stuff, but Borders has a lot of those GLXs. I've been trying them out. They feel sweet. I mean, you can tell they're a little bit heavier. The difference for me, it's kind of hard to be at that price point and not just get the top of the line, to me.
Right, because they're what, $550?
$550, $625. But honestly, I've never seen anybody actually sell them for $625. I mean, talk to Brad, tell him we sent you. He's going to give you a better price than $625, $650. I guarantee it at Borders.
Yeah, like I said, that's one. I will say though, that's one of the rod series that I don't own is a GLX. Just for the simple fact is I have, the ability, just like JR said, if I'm spending the money and the time, and I have a really good discount through Shimano, I'm going to be buying that NRX Plus, 150% of the time.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to have that connection and that reliability. Step on a rod and tell them that and give you a new one.
Yeah. And that's the deal. Like I said, Shimano and G-Loomis is not for everybody. And I know that. That's why I do promote them, because I do believe in them. But if you can't afford them or like something else, totally fine. Like Caleb James works at Borders. Great dude. Love him to death. We have a lot of interesting conversations, but he is a Kistler guy, and we rib each other about it, and that's it. I don't care what you're fishing, as long as you're fishing, and he has the same way. So it's all good. Where has time went, ladies and gents? We're on here for an hour. Crazy. So long discussion this evening. There's been a lot of discussion over the last couple of weeks about stuff happening in our area around like Paintsville Lake and stuff, and you guys have all heard the name Jason Kenner. We're gonna have him back on the show here soon. He has a lot of great points and stuff, so he's very passionate about trying to get F1s put in Paintsville Lake, which he is a lot closer than I think he's ever been. He has some folks that are in the government on his side now, and they're putting threadfin in there and stuff. And like, whether it helped them out or not, they are actually turning some big bass out of that lake. There's 8.5 pounders caught there, not regularly, but they're caught fairly regularly now. And so we're going to have him on. We're going to have a conversation about Grayson. We're talking about, what we can do to Grayson to make it fish a little better. Word is on the street that they're putting a slot limit on there, and I would like to have a tournament out there, just a one tournament deal where if they put that slot limit on there where you can only bring in fish that are 12 inches or under and have a tournament. The caveat is that we are not turning any of those bass loose.
Yeah.
We'll throw them in a cooler. I'll take them home. I'll clean them. I'll either find a food bank in the area to donate them to, or I'll divvy them up and find some elderly folk around our area. I don't know. I'll find somebody to eat them. They won't go to waste. But I think that would be a pretty neat way to, have some sportsmanship about it. But he brought up a good point. Do you feel like, and I'll just leave this question with you until next week. Do you feel like that some bass are catchable while other bass are not? He brought up a point. He said, well, what if you go out there and you catch all of these fish, and then now they're the fish that were capable of being caught, and now you have a lake full of fish that you can't catch? Do you feel like that is an option? Again, you don't have to answer right now. We'll talk about that more next week. We're going to try to get him on the show. So, hour-long discussion about fishing and not much else. So, appreciate you guys sticking around. If you guys are new to the channel, I appreciate you guys more than you know. 90,000 views on a short, 250 plus subscribers in the last month. Pretty amazing. I love it. I thank you guys for that. I'm well on my way to being able to retire somewhere around 2,118 at this point. Got to have goals.
Mm-hmm. Just bring it on down.
That's right. So you guys know the deal. If you can, get out there and lean them. We'll see you next time on Another Line.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of On Another Line Live. We truly appreciate your support, and we couldn't do it without all the amazing folks at home watching week after week. A big thank you goes out to our sponsors, who help make this show possible. Malone's Marine, Borders Sporting Goods, Solar Bat Sunglasses, Picasso Lures, Shimano, and Columbia Sportswear. Their partnership allows us to keep bringing you the content you love. We'll see you next time on Another Line. Until then, get out there and lean on them.